I'm thinking about, or so talking about the treatment, and we're talking about even the definition, those guidelines. And I'm thinking about personally, even my own friends and family members who decide that their blood pressure is fine today and they don't have to take their medication. They're feeling just fine. And it makes me think about hypertensive emergencies or urgencies only because in my mind, and I want you to correct me, I'm thinking if you stop taking that right now, that blood pressure is going to go through the roof and you're going to be in big trouble. Is that what a hypertensive emergency or urgency is?
No, I mean, if you stop taking your medication, you certainly do put yourself at risk for it. But hypertensive urgencies and emergencies, and mind you, talking to people who feel fine and don't need to take their medicine, that's another podcast. I mean, that's a whole other study unto itself. And if I ever develop the solution to that, I will write a book. I will be a billionaire if I ever figure out how to convince people who feel fine that they need to take their blood pressure medicine. Boy, wouldn't that be awesome? But to answer your question about urgencies and emergencies, they are very defined phenomenon that are a combination of, well, elevated blood pressure, very elevated blood pressure, but then distinguished by the associated symptoms. So a hypertensive urgency, by definition, is a patient with very high blood pressure, above 180/120. That's your very high blood pressure, above 180/120. But in a hypertensive urgency, they don't have any acute manifestation of that. They may feel fine. Usually, you will see, if you do a closer exam, some chronic target organ damage. This might be the patient that has developed some renal impairment, low protein in their urine, or their glomerular filtration goes down a little bit. This might be somebody that, if you are skilled in doing dilated pupil exams, you see some very early retinopathy changes, that kind of thing. But a hypertensive urgency is, even though it sounds bad, it's not acute. It means that the blood pressure is very high, but there's no acute target organ damage right now. And the thing to do is just reinforce that plan of care. Really try to get them on an appropriate outpatient plan of care. A hypertensive emergency is different. A hypertensive emergency is the patient with elevated blood pressure and acute target organ damage, acute MI, acute CVA, dissecting aneurysm, these acute phenomenon. Hypertensive encephalopathy is another one, acute mental status changes. That's the one that needs to go right to the ER right now for IV vasodilation and very controlled reduction in acute management of their circumstance. But yeah, you would think an urgency is like, boom.